If you're looking for a green energy company that is rapidly moving towards production levels, then you're going to love this interview with HPQ Silicon, because a company announced today they signed an MOU with a company in northern Germany, and we don't have more specifics on that, which is what makes this such an amazing interview. Bernard, welcome back, my friend.
Thank you.
All right, so you put out this pretty generic press release. I guess you had to be.
Pretty
Signs
generic. I think it was
MOU
pretty
with a
specific.
company. What's that?
I thought it was pretty specific, but
Yeah, I guess
you call it
on
generic.
some things. So so there's a lot to unpack here. So the first thing I want to ask you is this: in
Yep.
the quote where you say this MOU represents a significant milestone in our journey to transform silicon-based anode material production. So give us a little flavor there. Why does this represent such a significant milestone?
Well, because we're starting to think about how we're going to be producing the material. We know that our material has potential. We know we have potential to increase the material, and there's interest from people that have places to manufacture it. So it's a logical conclusion to go to the next step. Like everybody keeps asking us, when are you going to go to the next step? We're starting it now. You got to build you got to build the infrastructure around where you can start manufacturing. So for us, in our mind, okay, we're going through those planning stages required to go in production, and this MOU represents an opportunity that came about because of the work of our business development team in Europe, which I think Germany is a good place to do it, a good industrial place to build something.
So are you sending out a strong signal here that, hey, we're now starting to think about and we're now moving towards production? Because that's what it feels like to me. You're sending out a signal that you're moving towards production.
I think the signal is more reverse. I think what happens is people that have spare industrial capacity, okay, that's fully permitted, that are looking for new projects that are going to be a vector of growth for their organization, their locations, okay, are looking for those new type of project, and we checked the mark as one of them, and they approached us. So you have to reverse it. It's not us that went and approached them; it's them that approached us. So it's one of those It's like when the phone rings off the hook. That's what parts into it, and what we have to offer as an overall group, HPQ, has multiple facets that intrigues them and interest them. So it's more, as I said, it's more the reverse. It's not for us. Going commercial is always part of one point of the process, but now the good part is there's an industrial company that has some background, some expertise, a land fully permitted, that says, wait a minute, that could be a great fit for the two companies. This is why I think it's a great opportunity. I think people are not fully cluing on this to this, but it's okay.
I didn't think when I read it, I didn't think this was a phone ringing your way off the hook, because I always ask, "Hey Bernard, is the phone ringing?" So that's what this is. I thought it was the other way. I thought it was you're reaching
Well,
out, you're looking for.
it's sort of makes a match. We have a business development team in Europe, okay, and they do meet and present and talk to a lot of people. If you look through our flow of news within the years, we did at one point announce that we signed a deal with a European grant company. Okay, so it's all part of that infrastructure, démarchage, communication. But at the end, it is their interest in our project, as opposed to our interest and says we need a place. I need to find a spot to do commercial production now. It's more, we have the spot. Does that fit in? Do we have something? Listen, this isn't overnight. We sent people there. We had people visit the site. We have an understanding what can be done, cannot be done, and we have those discussions about, okay, this is where we are, this is where we want to be, how we move forward. So as I said, when we had our pre-talk before the interview, that's what I said. This is not us going after. This is them coming after us. I think that's
So
very important to understand.
is this third party validation because somebody out there that's serious in this industry, in the manufacturing part of this industry, is reaching out to you and saying, um, we want to manufacture your product. We want to talk about manufacturing your products.
I don't know if it's really third-party validation or third-party interest. Okay. It's basically the proposition that HPQ has with regard to silicone-based anode material, the QRR potentially, and other things we can put there, has attracted the interest of this industrial group, this industrial company. And basically, we started there to evolve. It says, what can we do working together? All right. This is why there's multiple steps of going there. And eventually, this will finish into a formal agreement that will say, okay, we will build our first plant here. We've presented an executive summary of a business plan. Okay. And that attracted the interest. We're now going to the light business plan about all the steps that need to be done to get it done. We're going to be exchanging this, getting that ready. And then they're going to see, okay, in our 90-hectare park, we can place this here. We'll have access to this. We will need, those type of things. And eventually, at one point, it's going to be moving closer to commercial production. And the great news is they know how to operate commercial plant. They have the expertise. So at the end, they're probably going to be the one operating the plants for us. So at the end, we're probably going to be more a technology supplier, okay, getting royalties and those type of revenues, and they'll be running the day-to-day operation, which sort of simplifies all the issue, which is going to simplify the things with also the financing of the project. Because there is a lot of financing available for these type of projects in Germany. A lot of it, a lot more than here.
I want to backtrack a little bit because then I'm going to ask you a question about Germany specifically. But
Mm-hmm.
devil's advocate, it seems like you're at MOU stage. It seems like there's a lot of work, or maybe it's not. But when you read the press release, it seems like there's a lot of work between now and getting to a definitive agreement. Uh, Talk to us a little bit about what that looks like. Is there a lot to do here, or is that just a comprehensive checklist where you can move through it pretty quickly?
Well, there are steps to do everything to the next step. It's like so there's nothing more or less to do. It's just multiple check marks, plan, and doing those issues, and then figure out where we are in those issues. So, as I said, they came and approached us. We presented an executive summary of what we could do, and we told them, okay, if we want to go to the next stage, we have to sign this MOU. And they've agreed to it, and then we basically have to publish the great outline of the MOU, which they've agreed to, and now we will start the nitty-gritty of finalizing the process toward a final agreement. So, it could have been done all nothing done, and we just come up with a final agreement. But I think it's the better way of doing it, because it shows to our investors, HPQ investors, that there is interest for our technology. Okay, it is not, sorry the term, it's not George Silicon.
George Silicon? It's not George
Silicon. That's a project. Those are real companies that are backed up by serious family offices based in Germany. There is serious money behind all these projects. So that's the great part.
There's a question I have for you. I know you can't give us specifics, maybe more specifics about the identity, but I actually that's one of my. What can you tell us about this mystery? I'm called the NGC, the Northern Germany company. Like, that's a couple of interesting facts you just provided us with there. Backed by family offices, sounds like. What, give us a little more context if you can, and 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 how excited are you by the fact that you potentially have a partner of this magnitude?
I'm very excited. I'm like tremendously excited. I know my face is maybe not showing it, but I'm really excited because it's a logical step that we're growing a company from a R&D project to moving forward. And what's interesting is there is opportunity for us to use more than just one of our technologies there. Okay, the QRR was not placed there by accident. It's also something that interests them, especially the aspect where the green synthetic fuel. Okay, because one of the things that the project's going to be looking at on the location is a lot of hydrogen related projects. Okay, and I think, if my memory serves me correct, there's going to be a hydrogen pipeline that's going to come right next to where the plant is located. So the concept of the QRR, its ability to make high purity silicon that can be used as feedstock to make the anode material, is very interesting. But really, to make that project economics much better, the fact that we can convert the gas carbon into green synthetic fuel by mixing it with green hydrogen is great. And there's also close to the area, there's a lot of green energy that we can be used, so we can end up using all those concepts. So there is so many opportunities for us to expand on just making a plant to make widget. Okay, that's really the opportunity that's there. So it's for us to be focused and moving into it. So what I like is, as our business plan in silicon anode battery material, as we get that developed and demand cars moving, we go there. Then we have the unique opportunity of having our own feedstock control, which is going to be something very important. Just look right now. You know, China is the biggest manufacturer of silicon. If at one point, if they stop sending out silicon, is there going to be enough capacity to meet all the demand? No, but we have that ability to deal with those issues. So we have to be thinking about the new world we're in, okay? And the new world we're in is not saying building the biggest plant, have the lowest unit cost, just being able to build cost-efficient plants at multiple locations to meet multiple markets. And I think that's the strategy we're developing in every one of our verticalities, from fume silica, QRR, silicon anode material.
And when I saw Germany, okay, great, fantastic news, but you said something interesting a couple minutes ago. You said we have to plan for the realities of this new world. And one of those realities is you got the Trump administration that's going to be taken over in just over a month or so.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, America first, America first, America first
Mm-hmm.
is the theme that we hear unequivocally.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and now you look at setting up manufacturing in Germany. Is this potentially one of many such partnerships? Because I would have to
Yeah.
assume that you want to set up shop in the US at some point, and this is
Mm-hmm.
not mutually exclusive.
No, absolutely nothing mutually exclusive there. Actually, there's nothing mutually exclusive. This is the deal for Germany, and that's where it is. The advantage of it, okay, is as we go through the process of building our first one, and we're going to get clients for silicon anode materials. We're going to get, we're going to get recognition for our capacity to do the material. Then it's going to be easier for us to go replicate. We're not going to be green shielding it there. So this is what I appreciate of the concept behind this. It's going to allow us to de-risk a bit that part of going commercial, and then make it very easy for us to, cut and paste and basically copy it and install it in the US. It'll be very easy for us to showcase our technology. We just have to bring them Northern Germany to come and see it.
How does this impact? You've also got some grant money that you're still waiting on from the government of Canada.
Mm-hmm.
How does this impact that at all? Is it if you're potentially one of your first big manufacturing locations going to be Germany?
Well, it doesn't, they'll have no impact because we're developing the technology. Let's say we can have, okay, the German facility, as we say in the press release, just a market for Europe, okay? Assuming that only half of all the planned gigafactory comes into place, okay? We could be talking by 2030 of a market that's going to need 100,000 ton of that material just for Europe, okay? So you can make the same math in Canada with regard to what it is. So maybe Canada is going to need 20,000 tons of that material. Okay. The US, maybe 400,000 tons of that material. Okay. So if our plants are efficient but small scale, much flexible, much those things, then nothing's stopping us from developing the technology in Canada. Okay. Building it in Canada first, and then expanding worldwide because it'll be an export from Canada to there. So there's nothing, it's not going to impact it. It's not going to change anything in the development of the process, It might just be even a better deal for everybody in there because there's always going to be an end client that's not going to be there in the R&D phase or the D phase because it's not much that R&D, it's more D phase, to be able to get it moving.
Silicon anode, the silicon-based anode materials.
Mm-hmm.
That seems to be the, if I go by the order of the bullet points, just in the summary at the top of the press release, it's the advancement of the silicon-based anode materials for batteries. Is that going to be the primary? I know other things might play a role, but is that the NGC's primary interest?
Yeah, no, it could be because it's actually like it's one that fits well into it. But as we wrote in the press release, nothing would stop us either from installing a fume silicon reactor facility, manufacturing facility there if there was demand in the European market for our material. So it's we have the location, the permitting, and all those issues. So it's very flexible. They like the technology we're developing. They like our philosophy of technology, which is basically, uh, thinking how you're going to repatriate industrial production in a way that's not like the historical one. And they like the innovations that we have. So they want to have those innovations showcased at their facility.
And that's a sense I get. So let's expand on that a little bit. That this is an established,
Mhm,
multi-decade
mhm,
company in Germany.
mhm.
Is that a big part of their interest? Are they looking for the new stuff in order to remain competitive in their own fields, in order to be able to produce? Is that what they're looking to you for?
Yes, but I'll have to be cautious in how I answer that, not to give too much away. But fundamentally, you understand in the world that we lived in, old industrial process, okay, at one point become less competitive versus other parts of the world. So when you have a fully licensed chemical plant, but it's not as economic as you would like it to be, sometimes you take the decision that it's better to mothball it, keep the operations ready to go forward, keep all the licenses alive, which is worth millions and millions and millions of dollars. Okay. And then see how you can use that location, okay, to recreate a new industrial base where you are situated. So of course you can have the support of the provinces where it's located and all those issues to recreate an industrial base. So you have the expertise, you have the knowledge, you've gone through this, you understand how industrial project, and then you can cherry pick what project you'd like to take. Okay. And in that cherry picking, our project became one of them that really interested. And this is why we signed the MOU, because they really wanted to work with us. And we said we need to have this MOU. And we started with an NDA. Okay, didn't divulge that NDA, but we did sign with an NDA. And then we moved on to going forward with the silicone anode material. There was site visit from my team, site visit from the guys from Novation.
Wow.
My business development team was there. We had multiple, you know, long hours meeting already of planning. We know what the next steps are to get this moving. So it's another one of those projects that's probably a bit more advanced than people think. And we keep doing this. I think that's the key mark of 2024 is a lot of the things we've been working on are becoming much more concrete in their realization.
That's for sure.
Yeah.
If everything went well, I'm not talking about utopian perfection, but if everything went well with the NGC, what does your what does your ultimate relationship look like with them at that point? So fast forward to the end point where everything goes well. What does that look like? What should shareholders kind of be looking for in terms of Endgame on this specific relationship?
Well, one of the way it is to increase the valuation of our technologies, which will by result increase the valuation of HPQ. It could be through setting up a dedicated German joint venture there that's going to operate and do those issues, so we can take access to more European money for building and getting that forward. To at one point us just taking more a technology provider position, getting a royalty type of transaction, and then from then on being able to move with those issues. So that's the gauntlet of the options are there. That's what this phase is going to go as we go through it. But they seem to have a bigger interest in wanting to run the operations and let's be realistic. That would require on our part anyway to build a big team to do it. So it might be more logical to do it in a joint venture type of situation where they run the operations and we extract the revenues out of the sales of the material.
Oh yeah. I don't think anybody would, and again, none of us are experts on this side of the table, but I don't think anyone would want to see us start venturing into HPQ Silicon trying to create the manufacturing expertise at the end of the day, because that's an entirely different ball game. So I think that's ideal that
Mhm.
you're looking for that.
Yeah, yeah, I agree.
Does does the phone does the NGC bring potential client bases with it? Because again, we don't know a lot about them, so that's why my questions are a little more fishing expedition than usual, because there are a lot of specifics we don't have here. But does the
Mhm.
NGC potentially bring clients with it? Because again, I have to assume if they're a multi-decade, manufacturer and processor, we you've told us what they've done. They obviously have they must have a significant customer base out there that they've been dealing with. Is there any synergy there?
I have to be cautious when I say I'm at this moment. I probably won't talk too much about the potential synergies, but I think there is going to be, um, as this evolves, as this gets known more. I think there will be more and more synergy. As I told you, German, although it's a big country, it's also a small country too. So everybody's going to start figuring out who it is, that northern company. I think German-based people will have a quick clue who they are, who we're talking with, and that's the
Well, we
situation.
already see online that the HPQ shareholders are hunting for right now, right? They're using ChatGPT. They're punching in the ambiguous facts that you have given us, which I'm
I
obviously is
don't
by
know. I don't know
design
what's so
for a
ambiguous.
reason.
The only thing that's ambiguous is we didn't give the name of the person. The rest of what we're doing is not ambiguous. There's nothing ambiguous here. This is a step forward in the growth of developing a technology. You start to have one point have to find when you're an R&D company like HPQ, you have to find an industrial partner that's going to say, "Oh, wait a minute, this looks interesting to bring up to industrial scale. Can we work with you to do it?" I think that's just a normal progression of things. It's the name of the company, of course. You know
Yeah, I
that
should have been more specific. Identity ambiguous. What you want to
identity and because
achieve has got
it's
some significant detail here, but
yeah,
they're
yeah.
already. My point is, every little tidbit you might give away on this interview is going to be entered by shareholders into ChatGPT or whatever large language models they're using in order to figure out who it might be. So it's kind of like, unfortunately, the hunt for that assassin of the CEO. Everyone's trying to piece together little pieces until they finally figure out the identity of who somebody is. Um, that's all I got to ask you about this specific relationship. Now, here we are. We're sitting in just about mid-December. Are
Mhm.
we gonna are we gonna see you again before the end of the
Uh
year? And I'm gonna ask the question: how's everything going on the fume silica side? I'll just kind of ask that. How's
okay.
everything going on the
Well,
fume silica side?
before we do that, I got an email. Somebody asked me if I want the question can be asked, and that's related to the PureVap QR technology. Okay. So,
What's the question they ask?
okay, the one thing that's not clear for me, the person says, HPQ owns a PureVap technology, which is true. But if one or more QR machines are required, will power be contracted to build it, or will the European engineering firm construct the commercial plant? And I think this is where people, I think pyrogenesis in the QRR case, okay, in the fume silica case, they build the equipment, okay. The engineering firm that we're talking in the press release will build the outside infrastructure in which you put the equipment into. All right. So that's very important to understand the equipment builder. So basically, for the fume silica and the QRR, it is going to be pyrogenesis that would build the equipment. As for the silicone anode material, that's going to be mostly us in the sense that it's going to be whomever we choose to do, and then we'll work with our engineering team to set it up within the building that we're doing it. So this is what people have to understand. There's sort of like two buildings at the same time. One of them is the equipment, and the second one's the building. But this is where it's
And you have
important
to have
because
the infrastructure to support the equipment at the end of the day.
and sometimes getting the infrastructure lined up, getting the energy, access to energy, getting all these issues can slow down a project tremendously. So you may have a ready to go technology, okay, and then hit wall implementation. So what this basically MOU tells us is we've sort of resolved that issue. There's already permitted areas, all the infrastructure is there, okay. It's just building it within an industrial park that has everything there ready to go. And furthermore, there's a lot of family offices with money not far away that could be interested in coming in. There's going to be a local government going to be interested in us creating jobs there. So it fits all well into it. Now the equipment's into it's going to be mostly our responsibility to get it organized and get it done. But once it is there and running, it's going to be their job. So it's going to be much easier for HPQ as opposed to we have to find the land, find the site, or you imagine all the steps that are required to do this. So this cuts, a good amount of time, allows us to focus on what we do best, which is basically making, good silicone anode material for batteries, and that's what we're going to be focusing on.
Well, we use pizza a lot as an example. So this would be like you having a fantastic pizza oven, but
Mhm.
that pizza oven does have to go into a restaurant that has the electricity and has the space and the ventilation and all
Yeah.
the things necessary for the pizza oven because the pizza oven just doesn't run on its own. So that's essentially what
Yes.
you're saying. We've got the whole setup figured out. So that this how happy are you to, it's the end of 2024
Mhm.
to apparently, because you haven't gotten to definitive agreement, obviously we have to say that's still an MOU, but how
Mhm.
happy are you to be before the end of the year and to have this part, a big piece of the puzzle, apparently look like it's working out?
I'm very, very excited because okay, I found that 2024 was a bit rough in the sense that there's a lot of things that were going on in 2024, which I think the full fruition is going to come next year. I would have thought that some of them would have been more this year. But if I look at the overall picture, we've done a tremendous transition in 2024, where it's becoming clearly evident that we're no longer a just a selling arm of pyrogenesis grade technology. Okay. We have them on two projects that we're working on. We're very happy, very good relationship. But we're also starting to have our own technological processes that are going to be moving forward. Some of them that are downstream for what they were doing with pyro. Some of them are completely independent. The hydrogen solution is starting to come into it. And then there'll be more hydrogen news also coming next year on other type of projects we're working on, which all fits in the same big pictures of industrial resolving. We are a green tech company. What we're looking at doing, and I know that people are going to say the EEG with Trump is not going to be that important, but that doesn't change anything. Our focus has always been, let's be the lowest cost producer of the material. Okay. And if by default, and often in our case, the carbon footprint is always associated with the energy. So if you use less energy, you're more efficient in how you do it. You're always going to end up being the winner in this regard. Okay. And people don't you should remember that as weird as it is, green technologies did much better under Trump than they did under Biden. So, it's counterintuitive, but I think 2025 is going to be a good year because of the work we're doing now in 2024.
Yeah, I think everybody will stand behind you on that one. That 2024 was a great progress year for HPQ. It really was. Now, let's talk about the rest of 2024. Here's my fear. It's December the 10th. I'm off to Los Angeles next week, then Florida, then London. That's pretty much going to be the rest of my month. So that worries me because am I going to have three more interviews with you? Are you going to be calling me? Is that, the George index where I go away, or the George indicator where I go away, and that's where the phone rings sometimes more than ever with you. Are we going to be seeing you again? I'm hoping we will be.
No comment.
All right. Well, you're not wearing a Christmas sweater. You're not wearing a Christmas. You haven't given us your Christmas. So I'm going to say, based on that, and based on your tradition, that I'm going to bet maybe 51% that 55% that we're going to see you again because we still need to see you in your Christmas cheer. But in the
Yeah.
meantime, congratulations, man. This is a significant milestone. We
Thank
know
you.
you still got to get to definitive agreement, but it sounds like you guys have had a lot of discussion about this under NDA. You know what has to be done, and it doesn't
Mhm.
look like it poses much of a
I'm
demand
surprised you
on you.
didn't ask the question about, the little sentence about fume silica into it in the press release.
What question should I have asked? Go ahead.
What does that imply? No,
Okay.
it's just the reality is that we're not physically located anywhere else. So if there is interest for us to have a plant for fume silica, we can also build it there. So that's what also is great, because the market for fume silica in Europe is very, very big. Doesn't change anything in the LOI that we're doing those issues. It has nothing to do with this. But it's just having a location where you can build is very advantageous. So I just wanted to bring this into people to understand it. We're forward thinking of how we can bring every one of our technologies to revenues faster in multiple markets at the same time. So,
And that's why I used the term earlier in the interview, third-party validation. And I know then you said more third-party interest, but
yeah,
this is obviously, the NGC is obviously a serious organization. They're
mm-hmm.
looking out for their future, and they're trying to figure out how do they best utilize their resources there in order to fill that out. So that tells me they took a look at your entire
Mm-hmm.
lines, and I don't know, when you bring that up now about fume
Well,
silica, that tells me that this is more third party validation interest, because they had to take a look at it to see how viable. If it was Georgecom Silicon, they'd say, nah, you're not capable of doing that. I know you have on your website, George. I know you guys put together some really snazzy bullet points in the deck, but you're nowhere close to getting that done. So we're not going to include that in our equation right now. But clearly,
mm-hmm.
for you to have QRR, the fume silica, the silicon anode materials, they must have, in their professional opinion, a reasonable belief that you are going to be producing and that you are going to need to be producing these things, and they want to be part of that. No, I don't see how there's any other way to read into that.
Well, the real way to look into it is for HPQ. This represents an opportunity to speed up the deployment of fume silica reactors, okay, in multiple markets. The original plan is, and I don't think the original plan has moved on. Well, it may move on because of the politics of it, but the original plan was to build the first fume silica reactor in Canada to get it operating. The Canadian market is going to be big enough for it. But the odds are we're probably going to have to then look at build some in the US, and probably the same thing is going to happen in Europe. So what I'm sort of saying is, hey, we already have a spot location, because that's a funny point. I have discussion with financier, and they're saying, well, if you're serious until you have a location, you're not really serious. So, okay. So this is what the point I'm saying. It's like, we already have a location there for one of them. We'll get the locations here. That's not really a big issue, but it was just an interesting little side note to say everything that HPQ is working and developing, we can implement commercial if the opportunity is correct and everything falls into red and it makes great business sense. We already have a location where we can look at implementing them. That's sort of what I'm saying, and that's a bigger thing than I think people are realizing.
Well, the press release just came out, 7 hours ago. So I guess we're trying to put but yeah, and that's why these are so great, right? Because you actually
And
make a point of
people
highlighting these things.
and people need to listen to our interviews to understand.
I think they are.
Yeah, I think
There
they
are a
are.
couple of people. If nothing else, Georgecom Silicon has taken off. So in terms of a brand name, I just may list a public company under Georgecom and find a way to partner with HPQ Silicon. Away we go. Yeah, but clearly they're listening, they are watching, and that's because you're providing great engagement, Bernard, and you're providing fantastic. Like, we call this beyond the press release for a reason, and I don't think anyone does these better than you. So congrats. Fantastic milestone. Looking forward to hearing more about the NGC again, the Northern German company. That's my own acronym I came up with. But looking forward to hearing more about the NGC and, hopefully Q1, Q2 2025 as you move towards definitive agreement. And until then, I'm hoping I'm going to see you again. So I'm not going to say Merry Christmas or Happy Holidays or any of that. I'm hoping I'm going to see you again. But thanks for today, my man.
All right. Thank you very much.
If you're going home, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Have a great day. Stay tuned. See you next time.
See you next time.
Hey Small Cap fam, I hope you loved this interview because more than a dozen people were involved in its production for the sole purpose of making you happy. If so, can you take a moment to support both our awesome guest company and Agoracom? Your engagement means the world to us. First, if you enjoyed this video, give us a thumbs up by tapping that like button. It's a small gesture that helps this interview reach even more potential investors to discover today's guest. Second, we would love to hear your feedback on this interview, so please leave a comment below. Be sure to keep it clean, but feel free to poke fun at George. If you loved what you heard on today's video and want to dig into our guest company right away, take a look at the links in the description below. And while you're at it, hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell to never miss another great Agora Comms small cap video. Thank you so much. We couldn't do any of this without you. Make sure to come back soon.